What's on Your Mind is sponsored by ACMC 339.0, New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Welcome to another program in the series of What's on Your Mind. I'm Carl. So how you doing? Hope you're having a good week. Hope you're having a good day. It's Wednesday. I know the weeks are going so quickly. So what have you been up to for the last since we was here last? We was here last week Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday. This is a live stream. Let me say thank you for tuning into the program. You know what I mean? I got to say what a week it has been. So many political issues been going on. My days, I can't believe it. Can you believe what's been going on? I know the UK, we are having a mini budget tomorrow. Yes, I don't know what that is all going to be about. You know what I mean? So, and as you know, we are in a big cost of living crisis. Everything is going up. Nothing's coming down. Your diesel and your petrol is up. Your food is up. The cost of food is ridiculous. Plus the energy bill, that is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I don't know what is going to happen. So we're having a new budget from the Chancellor. Chancellor Hunt is going to give us a budget tomorrow, a mini budget. And that should be very interesting. And I think he's trying to tidy up Liz Truss mess. Or could it be Boris Johnson mess? Or could it be David Cameron mess? You know what I mean? All I can say, it's a bloody whole lot of mess. You know what I mean? Just on a serious note now, I mean, those guys are fine. All the guys I've just named are fine. We are the one who's in this mess. You know what I mean? We are the one who's got to suffer. We are the one something. Those guys got enough money. You know what I mean? They've all got enough money, so we are the one who's actually has to bear the pain. And they talk about taxes going up, and nothing is coming down. So it'd be interesting. You know, I'm talking about taxing the very rich. I'm out of that bracket. You know what I mean? But I do think they are going to actually tax the very people who is on very low wage. So that is very interesting. Now, also, what has been happening this week? That's a whole lot of things been happening. We see now, let me move on. Now we see, wow, can you believe it? Donald Trump. I shouldn't laugh. So Donald Trump has announced that he's going to do the 2024. Yeah, 2024. I got to think about that, guys. 2024, he's going to be running again for president. And then suddenly I was thinking today, I wonder if he's going to have a free ride, like, you know, none of the other Republican, you know what I mean, because they all have to take part, and then he has to be nominated, and then he has to go into what you call the groove. And I was thinking, is anybody else going to take part? Actually, then some late news has just been coming in. Mike Prince, who was actually the vice president, he suggested other people and says other people may do a better job. There's a guy in Florida, Ron DeSantis. He's also possibly in the running. So it should be very interesting to see how Donald Trump fits into this. You know what I mean? But I was also thinking, so you have Donald Trump now, say he gets in again, so he'll be in twice. And I know not the back-to-back. So he'll be in twice. And if he wins again, hypothetically speaking, he's going to be in again. So we're going to have this former president who will actually be president 3 times. Is he heading for the record or what? I don't know. But you know what? 2024, there's a lot could happen by 2024. And if he wins, then a lot could happen by 2020, every 4 years. 2028. You just don't know. Can you believe it? 2028. And it comes around so quickly. You know what I mean? Wow. But that's how it is. Anyway, as I say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This program is a live stream. We do it every Wednesday. And as I say, let me say thank you all. Jamaica, big shout out to you. Canada, big shout out to you. Africa, vast continent. Big shout out to you guys who tune in from Africa. I know a lot of you guys tune in from Africa. Let me say thank you for tuning into Breakthrough TV. Wow. Now, there's so many things been happening this week. You know what I mean? I'm hoping also to talk to a guest later on in the program, probably about in the next 30 minutes or Sister Marcia Anderson. We'll be actually talking to her and get her feedback on one of the main things that's been happening in the news. We're going to share that as well. I want to say a big shout out to you guys who have your birthday. Let me say a big shout out to you. Birthdays are very, very good. And can you believe it as well? I can't believe it. Can you believe it? It's the 16th of November. So we're not far from Christmas. But I must say, let me have a little break. I must say, I want to dedicate this show to my mother, my wonderful mother, Mama Lee. Mama Lee, was Mama Lee's birthday to yesterday, the 15th of November. She was born. No longer with us. But I need to dedicate this program to her because I know if she was still around, she would have been on this program. And I got to tell you, my mother was one of my major influences. She knew so much. She had so much knowledge. Politics, religion, geography, science, you name it. She could hit you with it. Very, very clever woman. And as I say, she was born in a time when you wouldn't believe somebody would have so much knowledge, you know what I mean? So way, way back. So as I say, this program, a lot of things you see I talk about, I actually get it from my mother, and the knowledge and the history and the education. A lot of it actually comes from my mother. So I got to say a big, big respect to her. Wonderful lady. And family, as I say, big, big shout out to you. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, let me move on. Now, the family of a young man who actually died in the flat. The flat was filled with mold, and I think there also caused dampness as well in the flats. And the family of Ishak, young Ishak, has said possibly racism was at fault in this situation after the coroner actually investigated the case. And the coroner has also said the property that he lives in was unfit for any human being to be actually living it. I'm gonna say young Ishak died with a where a flat was actually filled with mold, and it got into his lungs. You know, some of the things that come off it got into his lungs. You know what I mean? And he ended up dying. He was only 2 years old. You know what I mean? And this has caused a big, big concern. And one MP says heads should be rolled for this. You know what I mean? And the landlord who actually is responsible for these flats, I mean, he needs to sort things out. They need to sort things out. The other thing I don't understand, you know, because we talk about damp. When you talk about damp, I know a lot of places got damp, but when you talk about damp, we're sort of going back to the 60s and the 70s and probably early 80s and mold and all that sort of stuff. I know you get molds in different stuff in there, but the government has also got plans where every now and again you see somebody come around to your house. Do you want me to damp-proof this? Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? Do you want to do this to your property? We want to improve your property. The greenhouse, the effect of different sort of economy of how to make your property better. So I can't understand why these landlords in a time like now didn't sort that out. And it seems to be a regular thing. And I hate to think we're actually going back to those gangsters of a landlord. You must have heard of the gangsters of the landlord back in London in the 60s and in the 70s when Caribbean people came here and they gave them all kind of shock and disgusting place to live in. You know what I mean? I think there's a guy called Rockman or something like that. That's history coming from my mother once again. And I can't believe in a time like now when everything's supposed to be a lot better in the UK, a young boy like that has died because the place he was living was so unfit for him to live in. Yeah. And I gotta say, we say big respect to his family, you know what I mean? And as I say, his family is also, when I talk about his family, when I talk about racism, his family has also said the fact that there were refugees, yeah, that may have played a part with this disgusting landlord, you know what I mean? So it's one of those ones, and it's such a sad. I'm going to talk about this a bit later on as well, because I got a wonderful young lady coming on later on in the program, all being well, if we can get hooked up. And she's going to cast her views on what I've been just saying to you about that wonderful little child. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Let me move on. Now, Julie Davis has flown to Paris, and she's actually see if she can find her son. Her son is actually a rugby player, and also he was on that thing, a celebrity program called The X Factor. Well, he disappeared from the 29th of October, and he hasn't been seen since. And her mother, his mother has gone to flown to France, Spain. Sorry, my apologies, Spain, to see if she can find him. And there has been some rumors today actually see come out, but you can't confirm it. Some rumors has come out that he's been spotted around Barcelona, wandering around as if he doesn't know where he is, you know what I mean? And I hope they find that gentleman very, very soon, you know what I mean? I say he's disappeared from the 29th of October, you know what I mean? And I think he's actually from our parts of the West Midlands, yeah? It's always sorrow when you see that sort of thing happening. Now, let me go to Manchester. Now, police officer charged for attempted murder of a woman in Manchester. The woman was um, taken to hospital. Um, Greater Manchester Police has says they were called on to about a situation where it raised concern about this lady at a hotel. Whatever happens, we don't exactly know exactly what happened. All the details are very, very still there. But I say a police officer been charged, and I say the incident took place at a hotel. You know what I mean? And it's just sad when you see things like that happening. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I want to say big shout out to you, Rose, Jade, Michelle, Sean, Colin, Donna. Big shout out to you guys. Donna, hope everything with you is all right. Colin, big shout out to you. Jade, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope all is well. Michelle, walk one. I know. I know you put your hand over your face and go, oh my God. Got to show. And this happens on Sunday. An explosion in Turkey and on a busy shopping street in Turkey, Istanbul, the capital. And the suspect has actually been arrested today sometimes, you know what I mean, earlier on today. And I said this was a big explosion that happens in Turkey, and a lot of people was actually running around. If we got a little clips, we'll probably be able to show you what actually was happening in Turkey, you know what I mean. And as I said, this is like a very, very well-known place that people goes and hang out, you know. I said there was a massive explosion there on Sunday, and I would say 3 people actually, it's and they also say it probably was actually a terrorist attack. Yeah, gonna see if we can bring this up and see what happens. Yeah, but just one of them ones. Just one of them ones. Still loading this. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. And I say these incidents are never very, very easy to deal with when you see such a chaos that is actually going on. You know what I mean? Let's have a look at this. As you can see, a lot of people are running and screaming. Yeah. Causing panic. Absolute panic. Yeah. When you see this, it's just so sad. The carnage that is actually going on. Yeah. Once again, we say thanks to the Guardian for that story. And also, big condolence to all the people that got killed in that explosion. Also, we still want to say as well, to the people that got injured, we hope they recover very, very quickly and be able to move on. You know what I mean? So those attacks are never ever easy. And I think it was actually so this week as well. We had that big incident that took place a couple of years ago in Manchester. You know what I mean? So I think this was also what you could call the anniversary of that big incident that actually took place in Manchester at the arena in the big, not that big explosion a couple of years ago. Yeah. Now, let me go to Jamaica. In Jamaica, there's a couple of I think in Jamaica there's a couple of what you call a couple of years that's actually gone into emergency lockdown. You know, state of emergency. A couple of places in Jamaica, but that is another thing that's happening in Jamaica. Now, let me go to cars in Jamaica. 2 people in Chilani were crushed, killed. 2-car crash, and as I say, actually, so my apologies. A lorry and a Toyota Cruiser was actually in a crash with a truck. And as I say, it happens in Chilani, and I say 2 people were killed and 9 others were actually injured. And they actually, when you sort of drive with speed. The other story I want to move on to as well. This is also another story which concerns crash. Two soldiers in Jamaica got killed, and this happened on Old Hope Road, and two got killed and two others were injured. And actually, it was actually coming from a party. And according to police report, they lost control on the road, and they couldn't sort of take a corner, and they went into this massive crash, and I say it kills the two soldiers. Yeah, and yeah, as I say, that is the report that is actually coming from the police of what happens with the crash there. Now, also I must tell you as well, a total of 28 people still keeping it. 28 people died from 29 fatal motor vehicle crash during the month of October 2022, according to the Minister of Transport in Jamaica. Yeah, and the number is less than two. And it is never easy when you see something like that happens, which is absolutely disgusting. And as I say, and I don't want to blame anyone, you know what I mean? I think we actually need to be a lot more careful on the road. And when you take speed and you go really fast, you know what I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen, you know what I mean? And we say big condolence to those soldiers' family, you know. And the injured, as we always say, we hope the injured recover very, very quickly, you know what I mean, and able to move on, yeah? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, let me go to Mozambique. Mozambique, Africa. Right. Now, Mozambique has actually, my next story, Mozambique has actually been exporting what we call natural gas. And natural gas is where my ship, they've been actually exporting natural gas on this very, very big ship. And this is all being exported to Europe. Now, I got to tell you, no one knows exactly what part of Europe this is going. It is a secret. But it is alleged the British oil giant BP has the purchasing rights for all that oil, or I should say natural gas, that is actually coming out of Mozambique. Now, ship liners carry all this oil, gas, you know what I mean, from Mozambique. I'm going to have a little bit of rant about this later on, because Mozambique is a very, very poor country. And I do hope that when they get this oil money, it doesn't suddenly go into anybody's pockets, you know what I mean? You know those guys' pocket that it always goes into? We hope it doesn't suddenly disappear into these people's pockets. Yeah. We hope it goes into the help the hunger. Yeah. I'm going to talk about hunger in a little bit more in this in this thing. So I want to have to talk about this, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people in Mozambique that's been hungry. So we hope it goes into their pockets or help them to buy food, because oil is like a lot of other countries. We see so much being taken out of Africa over the years. You know, so much minerals being taken out of Africa, and yet so many African countries are very, very poor. Now, I got to say this as well. Bauxite has been mined in Little Jamaica. I know a lot of you guys don't say like me to say Little Jamaica, but I love my Jamaica, so I got to say that, and it's the love I have when I say that. Yeah, and also my Jamaican people. Now, I gotta say, we see the same thing with bauxite in Jamaica. Yes. Now, I think from before my mother was born, they've been mining bauxite in Jamaica. Bauxite in Jamaica. When I was born, I grew up seeing them mining bauxite in Jamaica. Yes. Where is it gone? Where's all that money gone? Questions, questions, questions. There's more questions than answers. It's a song, that is. So where's all that money gone? Has it really, really helped those countries? And when you see those big oil giants taking the minerals out of all these countries, they're not going to like me for saying this, but remember, I'm only passing through. So I can say that. We see all this that I'm talking about, all these minerals that coming out of all these different countries over the years. And does it actually go to help the local people of of those countries? Does it? It says there's more questions than answers. Yes. Now let me move on. Now, this is actually a very good one. The wonderful lady on my screen, she's a winner. Now, the annual list of 100 influential African, African American, African Caribbean, the most influential people in the UK. They do this every year for 2023, but they always do it at this time of the year, which is 2022. They do it just before 2023. Now, the winner of this year, you know what I mean, the top lady is Dame Sharon White. Now, Dame Sharon White is actually a former head of UK telecom regulation. And she's also been chief executive of Ofcom for 4 years. Her current job is she's a chief at John Lewis. So we say a big shout out to her. And she's the top, what we could say, Afro person with influence in the UK at the moment. I don't think I'll get that prize. I don't think I actually get that prize, you know what I mean? But it's one of those ones, you know what I mean? And I say it's one of those ones. I say it'd be good to see her. It'd be good to see you know what I mean? I say her previous job she had was like her 4 years, and I say she's actually the chair now of John Lewis. Yeah, so it's one of those ones. So she's at the top. Good to see that. Big shout out to you, my lady. I gotta say that. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Yeah. Now, actually, sort of, as I say, her previous job, as I say, she actually worked for she works for the telecom, I mean, communications company. That was her previous job. You know what I mean? And so she's at the top, and those are the sort of, she's had major roles over the years. You know what I mean? So we say thanks. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Yeah. Now let me move on. Now, gonna go to sports. Now this has sort of caused a big thing. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, has actually blasted Man United. And he actually blasted Man United Eric Tag Hag. That is a very unusual name, but I'm not going to say nothing about the name. And I said he actually blasted him. And he says, he was doing an interview with Piers Morgan. You know Piers, we all know who Piers Morgan is, you know. I gotta say, he was saying his name, Piers Morgan, even though I said it twice. You know what Piers Morgan is like, and he was saying his name sort of, it's not easy for me to say. I gotta say that. And that's not being personal, you know. But he's actually blasted Man United, and he actually blasted the manager, Hag, at Man United he says, it seems like they wanted him out, and he felt betrayed. And he also said something about Wayne Rooney, because he says Wayne Rooney has criticized him so much, and he doesn't really know why Wayne Rooney criticized him so much. He says it's because Wayne Rooney future in football has finished, or is it the fact that Ronaldo, Cristiano, is still playing at high level? And don't forget, he's also in the World Cup that starts on Sunday. So that's what he actually says, you know what I mean? So, and it's caused a lot of major headlines, you know what I mean? And he says the other thing he says, I'm not gonna say I look better than Wayne Rooney. I'm not gonna say I look better than Wayne Rooney. But he says, well, it's true. Interesting. The other thing I must say to you now, Man U has actually so far decided to fine him. The news actually coming out, £1 million. Yes. You know, I always thought you could have freedom of speech. I don't know this sort of contract he signs. Yeah. And they also said more is to come. Possibly more suspension or more penalties. And I don't mean a goal. More penalties is possibly coming for Cristiano. Yeah. One of those ones. One of those ones. But I don't know. Moving on. Let me move on to entertainment. Entertainment. Now, I gotta say, entertainment. Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon is actually had his 11th baby. Yes. And he's actually due to have a 12. I'm not gonna say nothing about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon's got a lot of money. I think he was saying like he paid like something like 30 something a year. Not quite sure what the old figure is. I think he was actually saying some ridiculous amount of money he paid in maintenance. So he's actually maintaining his children anyway, which is good to see. You know what I mean? So he's got to keep working all the time. You know what I mean? He's got to keep working until those children actually grow up, and he has to also leave a legacy for them. You know what I mean? So, but if he keeps doing that, it's one of those ones. You know what? And I also said to me, I think I've talked about this before. Now, Nick has got a lot of criticism. You could see why, but I know he has children with Mariah Carey and a couple of ladies. But if they want to give him the thing, as I keep saying, and they know how he is in that particular field, I can't blame Nick. I have to blame the ladies. And I'm not being sexist here, but it's a reality of things. If you know he's got so many children and you don't want to do the thing, you're not going to do the thing, are you? So, what we always say, a lady has the right to say no. Yes. So it's obviously he's happy with all these ladies, and these ladies are happy with it. So that's why I'm giving them the thing. I know. Sometimes you gotta make joke, don't you? Oh gosh. Did I just say oh gosh? Oh, my days. Now, let me move on. Now, go on to Spice. Now, Spice, there was a lot of concern about Spice. You know what I mean? A lot of people was actually worried about Spice and her condition. You know, Spice is the dancehall queen. And she actually announced that she actually suffered from a hernia. And it actually caused sepsis. And she said, actually, thanks to Jesus for saving my life. Yeah. We hope she recovers very well. And as I said, you see, she's there praying and saying, thanking to Jesus. And that's where Spice is at the moment. You know what I mean? I say, we hope she recovers very, very soon. Yeah. Don't forget, once again, as I say, to like, share, and subscribe to the program. That's all you got to do. Go to it and just help us here, you know what I mean, to improve the program. Thank you. And I say, you don't have to pay. Yeah, just do it. Let me say thanks. And you know I will say thank you, because that is a genuine thank you. Right. Now, let me come to still entertainment. Now, the Mobile Awards. Now, the Mobile Awards, as you know, will be held in London this year. In fact, it's not too far away, it's the 30th of November. Now, the Mobile Awards has actually changed its name, especially in the reggae category. Now, the best reggae act category has been changed in favor of the best Caribbean act. The best Caribbean music act. Yes. So, and the nominees are, I gotta say, now we are all from the Caribbean, but the nominees are all Jamaican. Jamaica. Jamaica got it locked. You know, yes, Jamaica got it locked. The best Caribbean act in the Bobo is all Jamaican. Now, what we have is Spice, we have Coffee, we have Shensia, we have Sean Paul, we have Skilly Bang, and we have Popcorn. And they say this will be held in London on the 30th of November. The other thing I want to move on to as well, now while we're talking about awards, now as you know, the other one that is actually coming up is the best 23 Reggae Grammy Award. So we're going to the States for this. And the nominees are actually there as well. So the best reggae album nominees are Coffee, Sean Paul, Kabaka Pyramid, and Protege, also Shaggy. Now that's a very interesting one. Let me look at that again. Coffee, Sean Paul. Coffee may win, but she's win one has already, hasn't she? She has won one already. So Coffee may win, but she bought that album. She bought her first album. Yeah, she bought that first album out, didn't she? I mean, Coffee had made a lot of music, but she's only bring one album out, and that was the last album she bought out, which wasn't too long ago, which was sometime last year or probably early this year. Now, let me look at this again. I was saying, no, there's Coffee, there's Sean Paul, there's Kabaka Pyramid, and Protege, and there's Shaggy. Now, my two in there would have to be, well, as I say, Coffee has won it before. I gotta say I have to go with Kabaka Pyramid or Protege. What do you think? Don't forget, you can leave a comment and tell me who you think it should be. Yeah? Thank you. Now, it's rant time. Now, let me move on to my rant. Now, my rant concerns, I actually talked about this earlier on. My rant concern Mozambique and the exporting oil to Europe. Yeah, natural gas, I should say, to Europe. And the actual company that has the right is BP. Now, 950,000 people, according to the UN, appealed for a food donation because they were so hungry. Yes. The country has a lot of poor people. Yes. And I do hope that all this oil money that they're getting will go to help the country. Because, as I say, it is very poor country. And we need to feed the hunger. You know what I mean? You see, some parts of Mozambique, people are very, very hungry, and they're striving to get food. So when we talk about oil coming to exporting to Europe, that is a good thing, yeah? Because selling your product is a good thing, you know what I mean? But as I say, we hope this money is not going to go into the giants of all these oil companies, you know what I mean? Or these big boys who pocket all the money and not go into the normal people or the everyday people pockets, you know what I mean? In 2021, nearly 1 million people, yeah, were facing hunger in Mozambique. Yes. You see where I'm going with this? So I do hope, as I say, these big giants who's responsible for doing this oil will help people like what you see on the pictures what we're actually showing you. Yeah. And when we show you this picture, we don't show it to put anybody down. What we show it to do is to draw attention as to what is happening in the world. Yes? Thank you. Now, my next rant. What is my next rant? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. My next rant concern the NHS. Not even so much the NHS. Yes, it's the NHS and the doctors. Now, I got to tell you first. Let me tell you a story that a colleague of mine came up against. Yeah. No, a colleague of mine came up against this. Now, so let's start. Monday, he wasn't feeling very well, so he phones up his doctor, his local GP. So when he phones up his local GP, the local GP, he goes straight to the answer phone. Hello. I gotta do my rig. That's my rig, right? He goes straight to the answer phone. Hello. We are not able to take your call. We are full. Basically, that's what the answer machine was saying. No. So that was Monday. Now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he phoned up again. Somebody answered the phone. Now somebody answered the phone. Now the first person who answered the phone, the receptionist, he says, how can I help you? What is your name? She gave him his name, right? And she asked, what is your date of birth? deliver the date of birth. Now, and then she turned around and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, but we've got no appointment. We're full up." Now, what sort of, let me think something. I don't know what is going on here, but if you are full up, why would you ask for the date of birth and what is wrong with you? Yeah. Why would you do that? So, as I say, our health service is in a very, very dilemma place. Now, my colleague actually went to the walking center. Now, when he went to the walking center, he actually said, yes, he had just got to do this. He actually had a good time at the walking center because the doctor's here was actually very, very good. The only thing about it, he had to wait for like 3 to 4 hours. But as I say, there's a shortage of doctors, there's a shortage of nurses, there's a shortage of dentists, there's a shortage of everything. There's a shortage of midwife, there's a shortage of everything in the health service. Now, over the years, the only thing I can say is that different government has played around with this for so long. And I think it's also mismanagement. Different government has mismanaged the system very, very badly. And the other thing that concerns me is that, say you phone your doctor up and you're not sort of very, very ill, to sort of, you're not feeling any terrible pain or what like that, and you suddenly phone your doctor up and decided you need to see your doctor. Now, you don't know what the long-term effect that can be, because if you get turned away, there could be something going on within your body, which takes you to another stage, and you could be having something wrong with your body, something wrong with your organs, which is taking you another stage, which you don't know what is happening. And then the long-term effect of that is not very good. So those are the things that sort of really concerns me about when you phone and they say, oh, you can't see the doctor, you can't do this. You don't want to go to emergency. People say if you're something there, but the phone, if you're something there, that's good. If you're something there. Now people say if you're ill or if you got what the answer service say, if you feel a pain or if you're having like a heart attack, or if you're feeling like if you got COVID, you know what I mean, or if something seriously wrong with you, you should go to the emergency service. But if you don't feel that seriously and then you need to go to the emergency service, it's one of them ones. It's one of them ones. So I do hope our health service will get it fixed up very, very soon, you know what I mean? And you don't know what to say about that. Now, my next rant is, my guest is actually here. So I'm going to see if I can get my guest and have a chat with my guest. Good afternoon. How are you? Marcia? Hello?
Good afternoon, good
Talk to
evening.
me. How are you?
Lovely to- Oh, I'm good, you know. I'm
Don't be
good. How are you,
surprised.
Carl?
How are you?
How are you, Carl?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Welcome to Breakthrough TV.
Yeah, I
Can you
can't
hear me?
see what's going on. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
It's the first time, my first ever live link up. I was hoping
Is it?
this was
So-
going to be a phone call, so you've dropped
so-
a bit of a surprise on me there.
So that's what we call learning new skills.
Yes, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So how's your day been?
It's been another busy day,
Yeah.
as always.
Yeah.
Very, very busy.
Yeah.
Planning, meeting with a lovely lady called Lyricist B, and we're planning to work on a pantomime that's going out in just a couple of weeks' time. So Janet Barrett, she's
Okay.
the lady that wrote and produced the Bob Marley play that was at the Crescent the other day,
Okay.
and she's
Marvelous.
invited Children of the Sun to work with her on a new production
Great.
called Queenie, and I'm still getting my head around it, but it's a Caribbean pantomime, and it's going to be at the Legacy Centre soon, 2nd of
Marvellous.
December. So
Marvelous.
no plugging or anything, but you did ask me what I was doing today. So
Now,
planning a beautiful pantomime with a beautiful lady.
marvelous. Now, as you know, the big one is like the young man who died of mold in Manchester. Not Rochdale. I know you deal with the north of England, I should say. Rochdale, yeah. And I know you work with a lot of children. What is your take on this?
Firstly, I must send my condolences out to his family, to the community, friends. Very, very tragic. Shouldn't have happened. But, what this has done, it's highlighted what is going on within our communities. So many of our people are dependent on private landlords, and they act as though they're above the law. They, threaten to live in terrible conditions, such as we've seen. There's a young man who's been going out recording the conditions people are living in, especially there is a racist system when it comes to housing. So it has been documented that Africans and Afro-Caribbeans and so on are living in the most squalid of conditions. Conditions you wouldn't expect to find in 2022 in the UK.
And I mentioned this earlier on in the program. I used to look at documentaries and go back to a time like in the late 60s, early 70s. You know what I mean? When British African Caribbean people was actually coming to the UK, where they used to just put them anywhere to live. You know what I mean? I think there was some gangsters in London. There was a big scandal around that. So you would have thought the whole act would have been cleared up, and this would be happening again in 2022 or 2020.
Yeah, slum landlords are still around and prevalent actually, and especially with this shortage of housing, this housing crisis that's been going on for decades. Actually, they realise that they have tenants over a barrel. If you're a tenant in one of these accommodations and you complain, they can threaten you with eviction. If you withhold your payment until the job's done, they can have the bailiffs evict you for non-payment. And so a lot of people keep quiet. They try to treat issues themselves. Often they don't have the finances to treat problems, because if you're living in a private accommodation, it's not your job to fix the roof. All you can do is clean the mold, but it will continue to grow. Do you know what I mean? So these are more than surface problems, because some might be thinking, well, why do the tenants not clean this themselves or whatever? Or, if there's some fault with the tenants not maintaining their houses. But these are structurally inefficient properties.
That's right, because
Many people are living here.
I think the landlord actually said they should paint it, but it should be about you can't paint over, man.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of it. You
You
got to get the
can't.
whole thing away.
You can't.
Yes.
You can't. And you have
and
to deal with the cause.
Yes. You have to deal
You
with
have
the
to
cause.
deal with the cause.
And
And it's usually in the fabric of the building. And it's not just mold. There are people living in properties with dodgy wiring. There are families where they all have to live in one room and sleep in one room because the rest of the accommodation is cold, and they've got damp issues, all sorts of things, dripping, leaking from the ceiling, all sorts of things, really. You can find yourself in a position where you've had a house, you've been evicted, and you now have to rent somewhere privately because the council list is so long and you're not seen as a priority. The only option is a hostel, a temporary hostel, or one of these squalid, unfit accommodations.
I'll tell you what sort of really gets me about this. You must have seen them many, many times. Many, many times you saw people drop leaflet in your house, come into the house.
Yeah.
Have you got damp? Have you got this?
Yeah.
Have you got mold? Let we do this. And in the time so how come these properties were mold full and some of these properties still substandard in a time like now for young people to live in? How come?
I know these landlords, a lot of these landlords, not all, but some of these landlords see housing as a get rich quick scheme. A lot of them. I mean, I know this Garrett's Swarbrick was on 150,000 a year. This particular landlord of this chair of this housing association that housed Awab's family and others in the same condition, because Awab is not the only person. A lot of the properties are in that condition as well, and people have been complaining for years. A lot of the companies that fix these problems tend to deal with, you have to own your own property to be eligible, or sometimes there's small print, and these private landlords have to cover the
Yeah.
costs themselves, and they
Yeah.
don't want to cover those costs. They
That's
want to
right.
make as much as they can, as quickly as they can,
Well, surely,
move tenants up quickly,
surely, what?
because they realise people are desperate. They realise people are desperate for a place to live, and they're bullies. They will bully people into being quiet because they have this power over you as a landlord. Tenants are vulnerable, especially if you're new to the country and you don't speak the language. And the way this country's advice isn't always accessible to people who need it. It's
Yeah.
very hard to find a lawyer you can afford to fight these people. Where can you find citizens advice help if you need it? They've shut down so many of the
Yeah, you
centres
can
and
hardly find
so
them.
on,
You hardly find
neighbourhood
them.
offices and so on.
Yeah.
So, it's very easy to get caught in that trap. Very, very easy. It could happen to anybody.
But
So
surely,
no one should sit
surely the
comfortably
government,
thinking.
surely the government has to put stricter rule in place
They
for
do.
these
They need to
for people.
prosecute when these things happen.
Yeah.
Because, they've been able to prove that this young man died from mold poisoning. But in so many other cases where people die after years of living in this condition, it's very hard to prove that the environment they were living in is a factor, is the main factor in their death. As
Yeah.
so often it goes unnoticed. But this was very provable, especially elders. There's such a rise in people with chronic lung conditions, and a lot of that is linked to poor housing as well. But it's just not addressed. And they're saying this case should mark a change now in the way landlords are monitored, let's say.
So
We'll
how,
see.
um, you being a mother, how do you think his mother is feeling now?
I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. I can. I just. She just has my sympathy, total sympathy. This poor woman living, trying to raise the alarm. Obviously, in poor health, I can imagine herself. She's also living this condition.
Hmm.
Must have been feeling very unsupported.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sure must be feeling so guilty.
Yeah.
Losing a child like this. It's awful. It's
It is
absolutely
awful.
awful. I
Marvelous.
just couldn't imagine
Yeah.
having to go through that.
Marvelous.
I'm
Terrible.
sure
Terrible.
all his mother wanted was a decent life for her son.
Yeah.
Just turned two. It's terrible.
Terrible. So, do
Absolutely
you think the
terrible.
landlord should go to jail?
Definitely. Is this not manslaughter? Is
Yes.
this not? If you were a driver of a car, you're a car owner, you didn't maintain the car
Yes.
and you killed somebody, you'd go to prison. You'd
Yes.
reckless driving, dangerous driving, or whatever. So is this not reckless? Is this not dangerous? Housing people in dangerous accommodation. It's no different. There should be a serious consequence. And for me, I would think manslaughter. I'm sure his family's legal team are working towards
Yeah.
having, let's, Garrett, his name is, Swarbrick, prosecuted. And let's hope this happens. Let's not just hope, let's get behind the family,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of us, and
Yeah. Yeah.
ensure that
Definitely.
you know
Um,
they're feeling supported.
who do you think should actually, what we say, compensate the mother, and how much should she get?
I don't think
I,
anything could.
I know it's a difficult one, but
Financially, there's no compensation, is there? But
but what you can do with that
no,
money,
no amount of money you can put on a price.
what you can do with that money is can take yourself from those sorts of landlords, because the poor, when you're poor, the situation you get into. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real, for real. I mean, there's no way anyone would expect that our mum would still be accommodated in the same property. So I would hope she's in appropriate accommodation. But yeah, no amount of compensation can.
No, I understand that, but I have to ask the question. The other thing is, there must be thousands. This can't be just the one person or the one family. There must be thousands
Not
of
at all.
people who's living in substandard properties
Yeah,
by cruel
yeah,
landlords.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a serious issue. I've been fostering. I stopped fostering a couple of years ago, but when I was fostering, sometimes I used to look after children that had been taken away from their family because they were in substandard housing. Parents are lovely, mum's lovely, doing her best, but the housing is just not suitable. And rather than find them appropriate housing, the child is removed and put into
Yeah.
foster care. You know, the system is it's a terrible system.
Yeah.
You know, we used to think that children are protected. If you're a parent and you've got a young child, you're entitled to a warm, clean, safe house, and the government's on your side to ensure, and the council's on your side to ensure you have that. So your bills, your gas, you shouldn't be, the gas board shouldn't cut you off, for instance, if you have a child in the house. All those things were there as a safety net to ensure children weren't living in these conditions. But these safety nets aren't there anymore. You know, children are being evicted alongside parents and put
Yeah.
into hostels that are
Yeah.
substandard,
Yeah. I know you say.
especially during these cost of living crises when so many people are losing jobs. If you lose your job, often you
You
can lose your home. You
you
lose
lose a
your
lot.
home because you can't
You lose.
afford to pay.
And sometimes
You know,
sometimes you lose your job. I don't know about generation nowadays, but if you lose your job, you lose your dignity, you lose everything. You know what I mean? And
you lose your everything.
I
You
know we was
know,
actually talking about compensation earlier on, but money can help the mother to be in a better place and
indeed,
to
indeed,
help her family be in a better place and to help her family do better. That's why I did mention
indeed,
compensation. Yeah,
indeed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's no way someone should be on 1,150,000. This is the landlord, and can't spend maybe £1,000,
Yeah,
£500, £2,000. It doesn't matter. There are lives involved to,
ridiculous.
repair property. I mean, it's a serious crisis.
It is a
I know
serious,
of
it
people
is
living in similar situations. I know personally of people living
serious.
in similar situations, and the landlords, they're fighting the landlord. They've even refused to pay, and the landlords threaten them with eviction rather than to repair the property. You know,
Yeah,
I know somebody as we speak living in a house and the windows unsafe. It's about to drop, it can fall and hurt a child living in the house.
yeah.
And the landlord did some botched up repair, got someone in to do a botched up repair job and hasn't shown up since and hasn't dealt with any of the issues. So they can't open the window because if they open the window, it will fall out.
My
And there are
goodness.
children in the house.
And
And
this is Britain in
no,
2022.
yeah. And that might seem quite simple, but we're talking about mold. And if you can't open the window because it's faulty, then you've got all this building up in your house, especially in this cold weather,
Yeah.
So so you can see the link. There's a massive rise, massive surge in infant mortality, maternal mortality. I don't want to be morbid, and a lot of these things are linked to poor housing and alongside the ill treatment we get,
What do you
especially
think?
our community.
What do you think the government should do about this? And also, what I call our community leaders.
Community leaders. Where are the community leaders? Who are
I've
the
asked that
community
question many,
leaders,
many times.
please? Name me a community leader, please. I'd
I
like
don't
to
know a
know
name.
where
I have to ask the
they
question again.
go.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah, we need community leaders. We do. I'm a believer that we need that galvanizing person, people's groups, organizations to, excuse me, my little lamp
Well,
just fell.
quickly then,
Yeah.
because I know you.
Back in
I
the
know.
day, we had, when these things happened, there was always organizations that could galvanize people towards action, towards making changes, and they were successful. They
I
were
know you're.
successful.
I know you're a Christian. What about the churches?
Churches
Because churches
too.
are part,
Churches,
should be a part of our community. What
yeah,
about churches?
yeah. Churches, and there are church leaders out there doing their bit, but it's often
Not
not
sufficient.
enough effort
Did I
is
just say
made.
that?
But at the
Not
end of the
sufficient.
day, we can't, we're all in this together. And at the end
Yes.
of the day, the government has a responsibility, but we're not taking away any of the accountability. A landlord is a landlord,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't have to be fighting these ridiculous battles with them. There should be tougher laws, tougher monitoring. If a tenant is complaining, the inspection process should be so rigorous that children, especially where children are involved, but this doesn't mean elders or anybody else should be living in unsuitable accommodation. So, regardless of any community action, we shouldn't need to keep on fighting. These are just rights that we should have without needing to fight constantly to have our rights upheld.
I know.
It's,
Marcia?
it's basic. These are just basic rights. You mentioned Levi Davis. Levi Davis is one of my young children that I fostered a few years ago.
Serious.
So my heart is just beating. I want Levi home. I fostered Levi when he was 7 until he was 10. And just before he went, Levi is always in my thoughts. He's always in our conversation at home because he is an unforgettable young man. Even as a 7-year-old child, he made such a massive impact on our family and the community. And as you see, he went on to becoming this great star, great celebrity.
Yeah.
But as with children in care, there's always a lot of turmoil and so on, and issues. So behind all of that celebrity and that, obviously Levi still had issues he had to deal with. So I'm just praying that Levi finds himself back in the arms of his
And
family.
we actually hope they find him soon, or his family find him soon.
Yeah, yeah.
I got to end, Marcia. The time is here. And we're never out of time. Let me say thank you for taking part in the program. A new experience for you. Thank you.
It's weird watching myself back on camera with this big ugly jumper. You call me up in my house, just there chilling, and you call me. But it's been a pleasure. I'm not moaning.
Thank you for taking
Thank
part.
you for,
Thank you for taking part in the show.
Thank you.
Have a nice week.
It's always a pleasure.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, our wonderful guest there, Marcia. Big shout out to you, Marcia. Marcia Anderson, Children of the Sun. Thank you very much. Well, guys, we're here again. Breakthrough TV. I'm out. Just a moment before I go. Tune into our guest next week. Our guest is Jean Blake, and she is a wonderful lady. She does this wonderful play, and we're going to talk about prostate cancer. And she's the director and producer of this wonderful play that I actually see a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? The play was actually at the drums. And so we've invited her to take part in this program. You know what I mean? I hope to link up, all being well, we hope to link her up next week. You know what I mean? We'll have a discussion about prostate cancer and what she's actually doing and what the play is all about. So we say big shout out to Eugene. My time is here. I want to say thanks to your producer. Good afternoon, sir. Also, all you guys who tune into the program, let me say good afternoon. Thank you. I should say good night, because it is night. God bless you. Thank you. Breakthrough TV, Carl, we're out.
On Your Mind is sponsored by ACMC 339 Dudley Road, New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam Jam.
planning an event? Do it professionally. Please contact Breakthrough Event Management Team and get everything under one roof for both indoor and outdoor occasions, birthday parties, bridal and baby showers, anniversaries, funerals, backyard BBQs and more. We offer a video and photography service, marquees, decoration and a PA system to hire, with popular new style radio DJs spinning old and new school hits. Please contact 07584 197 380 and book all your catering needs with Reggae Jam Jam catering service on 0787 244 3765. And remember, do it good and done.